as a mom, I think we deal with a lot of mom shame, whether you bring your child or not. You have the guilt of abandoning your kid or not being home for bedtime. And it's something I've been very bullish about is taking her with me and being around other people. One, I think it's a great opportunity for her. But two, I think it's an example to set for society and our community and to let other women know that it's okay. You can be a mom. You can still have these
Yeah.
other responsibilities, but still be a badass and like get stuff done.
Welcome to Extraordinary Stories. I'm your host, Forbes Shannon, and with me,
Christine Butler.
and Christine and I are really excited for our guest here today. When it comes to collaborating and weaving the web, this is my OG partner in weaving the web. Together with Erin, we built Venture Café Phoenix. She also has Elemental Business and the AI Learning Center that we heard so much about with our other extraordinary member, Vincent Serpico.
That's right.
Alex Koupal. Thanks for being here, Alex.
Yeah, thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
So, Alex, you are setting a new record here. 3 people nominated you on Extraordinary. So
What an honor.
you are the first to have 3. You had myself, you had Aaron Bear, and you had Vincent Serpico nominate you for Extraordinary. So let's start with Aaron. How do you know Aaron?
I know Aaron through you, Forbes. Actually met Aaron. Well, I'll take that back. You were a secondary in that. But I
You
got
know
to
me
know
through
him.
Aaron, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
I got to know him a
actually.
lot better because of you. But I had gotten laid off from my job. I was doing international trade shows, global sales, and had become a mom and was going through COVID and really reassessing my life and thought, where was I my happiest in my life? And it was at the business incubator in college, working with startups. Reached out to all the business incubators in Phoenix area. And Tom Schumann with CEI reached out to me and said, what are you doing tomorrow? And it was a luncheon and it was a pitch for Venture Cafe. And Aaron was the one pitching Venture Cafe. So that was my first interaction with Aaron.
That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so for backstory for our listeners, so Aaron's been my mentor for 10 years. I was working with Aaron at the time, and Aaron and Alex hit it off, and they decided that they were going to build this Venture Cafe thing, and they were looking at what they needed on the team. And they were like, we need someone who understands entrepreneurship that has like a stand-up comedy background.
I wonder who that could be.
And Aaron's like, believe it or not, I have that guy. And then Aaron connected me and Alex, and then Aaron actually did us both a solid and stepped away and just kind of let Alex and I run it and build Venture Cafe from the ground. And that was how many weeks ago, Alex?
Oh gosh, I don't remember. But 5
Weeks.
years. It'll be 5 years in March 17th. Yeah. We launched on
5
Saturday.
years and 182, I believe, different Venture Cafe events.
Oh.
Yeah, a weekly networking event that we put on.
How many have you guys been to?
I've lost track. 150.
I'm like 160 something.
So
yeah.
they keep track of the numbers, just
Yes.
for reference. I'm like at 2 now, but best 2 date nights of my life. All right.
Yeah, that's how we game the networking. But yeah, so Alex and I, it was really cool. I don't know, Alex, I'm not gonna put words in your mouth. What did you get out of building Venture Cafe Phoenix?
Oh my gosh. I mean, so much. One of my favorite things is when I walk away at the end of the night, I'm tired, exhausted, we run this on a lean team, and I see all the people connecting with each other and talking to each other and, not wanting to leave. And I always say, to Sarah, our counterpart here that built it too, like, we did that. That's amazing. Like, how cool is that to know that we've made that kind of an impact on such a large number of people? And this is impacting their lives in so many ways. Like, they're starting businesses, they're finding babysitters, they're, like every which way. I think that was the biggest takeaway. I mean, it's also was a playground for me to discover who I was as an entrepreneur versus, a corporate employee. That was a big takeaway too. But I mean, the biggest one is just the impact we've had on a community of people.
So that's a natural segue into the third nomination. As you discovered you were an entrepreneur, you met your business partner in your newest venture at Venture Cafe Phoenix. Vincent Serpico thinks you're extraordinary. How do you know Vincent?
Actually, Vincent and I go way back as acquaintances. So When I first moved to Arizona, I used to go to Rockstar Boot Camp, and he was at the boot camp, and we used to work out at 6 a.m. with 50 other people, uh,
Mhm.
4 or 5 days a week, run ultras and, Spartans together, and, he was always just someone I admired and was a good person, and we stayed in touch through socials. When we started Venture Cafe, he started coming, and then he launched our AI meetup that we host every 4th Thursday of the month. And that just evolved into a bigger conversation over time of, we need to meet this need and provide AI education to people. The economy is changing, job market is changing,
Mhm.
and decided to partner together on creating additional content and opportunities in the AI space.
Mm.
And the AI space is growing.
It's wild.
Forbes, you guys use a lot of AI in your work, both of you. Obviously, so
Yeah.
do I. Now, for you, being so heavily involved in AI, like where do you see it going? I love asking this question because
Mm,
it's always just a little different.
yeah. I mean, that's a big question. Um, I see it going one way in particular, I think that not a lot of people think about is not only is AI going to talk to AI and there's going to be this whole subculture of AI, there's
Hmm.
also going to be a whole group of people who are monitoring that AI and checking the AI and making
Mhm.
sure that it's legit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and some of the concepts that have been brought up within our community is AI schools and training the AI and all these opportunities, almost treating them
School
as
for the AI.
yeah, like treating them as people, and sending
True.
them off to training schools and teaching them skills and making sure that, they know how to do the things we need them to do. And I think that's really incredible. It's like creating a whole new species. It's really odd.
Yeah, that's a really unique way to look at it. And
Yeah.
speaking of creating things, you said two children?
I have one child. Yeah.
One child. Okay, so what's that like being a mom, dealing with the things that come with momhood,
Oh my
and then
God.
also being a badass leader in our community? I mean, I know they intersect.
It doesn't come without its complications. I actually was talking to one of my coworkers at Venture Cafe this morning. She's like, I love that you bring your daughter to these events and she's such a light and I enjoy having her around. And as a mom, I think we deal with a lot of mom shame, whether you bring your child or not. You have the guilt of abandoning your kid or not being home for bedtime. And it's something I've been very bullish about is taking her with me and being around other people. One, I think it's a great opportunity for her. But two, I think it's an example to set for society and our community and to let other women know that it's okay. You can be a mom. You can still have these
Yeah.
other responsibilities, but still be a badass and like get stuff done. And it's such a great example to set for your children. So I think it's challenging for sure.
Mhm.
But the leadership and the confidence you have to have as a parent and knowing that you don't know anything, I think is a lot like leading a community of people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, one thing here at Extraordinary, one thing we do believe is we don't know shit. Forbes, you want to take that one over?
Yeah.
Yeah, just anytime I've messed up my life, it was a time I thought I knew shit.
Yeah.
Anybody who's been in my life who's been a problem was someone who thought they knew shit. So it's really just like an idea of curiosity, And
Mhm.
I think what I like so much about it, Alex, is like bringing your daughter there, right?
Mhm.
So the last time I was there, because I haven't been going as much since I stepped away to do extraordinary. Um, I guess I hadn't had a beard the last time she saw me, and so it took her a second. And she's like, "You're different. Like, what's that on your face?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"Dang, roasted," right? Um, but what's really cool is, like you said, blending those kind of halves of you, the personal and the professional. I think that's really authentic, so that people can see, like, at the end of the day, it's not just Venture Cafe that Alex
Mm.
does or the AI Learning
Mhm.
Center. There's all
Yeah.
these other moving pieces. And I guess my question for you, Alex, is like, what role has authenticity played in helping you
Oh.
as your entrepreneur journey
I mean,
unfolds?
it's huge. In the corporate world, I had to mask a lot of that. I had to not be myself. You
Mhm.
have to fit into a box or, and not discounting that. I think that was a beautiful tool to be able to have and to know how to navigate the professional world. But, you're constantly masking who you are and hiding yourself and being able
Mm,
to be authentic and who you are and
mm,
undeniably, you. I mean, that's actually how I ran into my other business partner, Bethany Graver with Elemental Business, and you introduced me to her. We were in a breakout, and I was being authentic about social media and hating to talk about myself and how I hate all the social media stuff. Uh, it just it's difficult to be authentic when you haven't been allowed to be, but
Yeah.
once you are authentic, people gravitate towards you. You become safe, you become relatable, um, and people see themselves in you, and it allows you to inspire them to do more and be extraordinary or do the things they wanna do.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of touching on this is only half fleshed out. Okay. I've been writing some essays around this idea that, I'm so good at collaborating and
Mhm.
building with other people. At the same time, I am unemployable. Like I cannot be working for someone. I can work with someone else. I can't work for someone else.
Hell no. And once you go without it, you ain't going back.
Yeah. Right. I mean, Alex, do you kind of like the only reason I bring that up is you were saying like, you had to mask who you were in those
Yeah,
other settings and now you don't. Like, do you kind of get the sentiment that I'm touching on there?
100%. I just went through it. I mean, again, I had an amazing employer for almost 20 years, and I left, with the being laid off. They took me back as a contractor multiple times, and, one of my good friends convinced me to come back full time, and I went back full time, and I was there a year and a half, and, you know, the team's amazing, the job's amazing, but that corporate lifestyle, like, it was so hard. It was so hard not to have the flexibility to do what I want when I want, to work on things in the middle of the night versus during the day, like go to lunch with my family versus, have to be back in 40 minutes. Like
Yeah.
that
Right.
whole system just didn't work for me anymore. And, when I ended my contract with them this most recent time, it was very much that reason. Like I'm not employable like I used to be. And
Hmm.
I don't know if
Right.
I want to be. I'm saying that publicly.
Say it
It's
louder for the people in the back.
I get it. Like, but there's a flip side, right?
yeah,
Like, because I just said this to my girlfriend a couple weeks ago, you know, doing a business, running it yourself and having your own self standard is hard. You know,
yeah, it is.
I turned to her and I was like, what's wrong with me? How come I couldn't just do a 9 to 5? And she's like, you'd be miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
What's the alternative?
yeah, right.
Yeah.
It's like kind of the grass is always greener. I don't know. Did you have moments where you're like, what? How come I got infected with this entrepreneur bug?
I mean, yes, I've always been entrepreneurial. My whole family has. And I 3, 4 years ago, all the social media, ADHD, autism stuff, I was like, "Oh, damn, that's me, that's me, that's me." Like, how I don't wanna be trendy. I don't wanna say that this is
Check,
like
check, check.
yeah, but, got tested and definitely have ADHD. And my brother has a learning disability and so did my dad, and I'm like, "Oh, this makes sense." Like, this all falls into place, and I think once I embraced that and understood how my brain was wired, I could put the systems in place and let go of a lot of the shame of like, why can't I remember things? Why do I have to write everything down? Like, why can't I
Hmm.
Yeah.
be like other people? Why can't I have the tenacity or the follow through to like do repetitive tasks? And I'm like, well, yeah.
Well,
Um,
Alex, I can relate very, very, very closely to that because just 4 months ago, I was
mhm.
diagnosed at 31.
Yeah.
And it like first you go through like a period of you're like, wait, has my whole life been a lie? But then you realize like it's just a label and like
Yeah.
now I know what it is, I'm aware of it, and now I can keep the bus rolling. And
Well, a red thread we've seen in Extraordinary is a lot of people, like their origin story starts with traditional learning wasn't working for me. So I
Yeah.
had to do this other solution, And I think kind of what you're saying is like you realize, like, oh, there may be another path that's
yeah.
not what everyone told me it had to be.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then there's a lot of regret and shame that come with not doing it to
Uh-huh.
someone else's standard. And so there's such you're waving a flag of like freedom with something like, a diagnosis.
Yeah.
Although it's, counterintuitive, but it's all part of the process,
Right.
and going with the flow. But you can't go with the flow sometimes with ADHD, right? I mean, as you know, and I kind of want to touch base on that. You're a mom, you're a businesswoman, you're an entrepreneur, you're all these things, but you also are dealing with something that's hidden behind, a couple layers of skin, right?
Yeah.
We all do. We all
Mhm.
deal with something. Um, but I find it to be that the most extraordinary people in the world use it as their superpower.
It
Mm,
is. Yeah. I think that's the
Yeah.
difference. Like, once I had the diagnosis and I understood that is my operating system, then I knew how to maximize it rather than
Mm.
mm,
trying to operate in a system that wasn't built for me. Um, I lean in to the manic nights of 8 to 2 a.m. That's my flow time, and
Yes.
if I need to take a nap, that's cool. That's how it works, and that's how my body is, and if I get fatigued and, depressed for a day, I just embrace it and don't feel bad about it because I know that I've produced so much the first, 4 or 5 days before that, where before it was like,
Right.
"Why can't I keep this performance level? Like, why am I
Well, and
falling
it's
off?"
yeah, and it's the ebbs and flows, right?
Yeah.
And the human experience of hitting those like peaks and valleys. It's part of it.
I think what you guys are both touching on that I love is like not necessarily clinging to a diagnosis,
Mhm.
but clinging to a better permissible self-understanding.
Yeah.
Like,
100%.
hey, I know who, so, you know, Alex, what role has like being curious and who you are and how you operate, how has that evolved over your career and over your life?
Mm. I mean, I don't think I actually had any self-awareness until I started going through my first divorce.
Fair, sister, fair.
And then just recognizing all these things and like, "Oh, no, I'm that way? Like, that I did that? That is horrible. Like, how could I be that?" You have no idea that these things are happening when you're doing them. And then
Mm,
getting the self-awareness and then recognizing it in other people and helping, other people get that same self-awareness. It just it makes life easier, it makes life more abundant. It allows you to be, authentic and in your flow and to recognize where you've came through your journey and, not to get too spiritual here, but, I'm pretty spiritual, Forbes. Like,
Love it.
it it helps you identify your soul path and what you're meant to do on this earth, and I think that
mm.
is amazing. You get this awakening of sense when you start to understand yourself.
So what are you meant to do on this earth?
I've done a lot of soul searching on that, and I really do feel like Um, my purpose is to help guide other souls back to their path and keep them on track. So I'm here to
What
observe
advice
and yeah.
what advice do you have for someone who doesn't know what their path is?
Mm,
Mm, that is so good. Um, I think it's really about being honest with yourself. We've all been told that we're supposed to follow a certain path, go to school, get a job, have a family, blah, blah, blah. But like, what is it that really lights you up? What makes you
mm.
happy? What do you really want? I think if we listen to our intuition a little more in our bodies and we remove logic, then you start to really figure out what that path is.
Mm. And I love that you said that because that's kind of the thesis of I don't know shit. Like
Mhm.
the this idea of curiosity of it might be more dangerous thinking that you know your purpose and then you're blind to all the other opportunities that may show up that direct you to a
Yeah.
new one.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Um, so how do you recognize when it's your intuition talking versus your logic talking?
That is so hard because I think at a young age, we're taught not to trust our intuition.
How
But
weird.
yeah, but it was about, coming into my femininity and, not being so masculine all the time and trusting my body. And I think this is not just a femininity thing, but I think just being in tune with this, as my girlfriend calls it, meat sack that we're in, and like the signals it's giving you, if you learn to trust it, it really opens up opportunities for you. I mean, you walk in a room and you get the heebie jeebies and you leave. There's a reason for that, right?
Yeah.
And same thing when you meet people. Like, we need to trust those instincts because I think it's inherent from, our parents and generations before us. That's like in our DNA that we just know. and
Hmm.
we need to pay attention to it.
Yeah.
Christine she's in the final stages of a manuscript of a book on masculinity and femininity.
Oh, I
So
love
Mhm.
I
it.
want to hear what your guys' thoughts
Yeah.
are on like how that plays into your intuition or ignoring your intuition.
It has all to do with intuition. I think the feminine spirit is all intuition. And if
Mhm.
you really get down to the nitty gritty, it's listening to that discernment, like your God given right. And that's your path. And it is hard. Like you said, Alex, it is extremely hard to identify what's discernment versus what you think that the world is leading you towards, right? And so it's like it's really tricky, and I think that's a path that someone's gonna have to just figure out on their own, as harsh as that sounds. Uh, I myself very started off very masculine, and that's from being a single mom.
Mm,
That's from doing anything I had to do to just make sure everything was okay. So going from that to what feels good or what your passion is, like that right there is driven by your intuition.
mhm.
um and so how femininity plays a role in that, I think it's everything. I think that's quite literally, if a woman were to just boil it down to one thing, it's intuition, and then you
Mhm.
can't go wrong. And I think when you partner with a masculine, or an energy, right? Because like it's not just sex, right? It's
Yeah.
the energy of the masculine and feminine, because we have both, right? But it's pairing with your
Mm,
polar opposite, and then yin ganging back and forth and finding that rhythm and that flow.
Mhm.
The intuition's going to come from that feminine in us, and then the logic is going to come from the masculine, and it's
Yeah.
quite literally understanding that dynamic. That's your intuition. That's
Mhm.
like just kind of feeling, balancing, and using your body to do the work, and it is a skill.
It is.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
long-winded answer, but I can go down that rabbit hole.
I
What are
love
your
this.
thoughts on femininity
Oh,
versus
yeah.
intuition?
We'll have to dive into this together at another time, you and I, but I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely everything you said, and I think so many women are struggling with this, masculinity versus femininity because there has been, it's only been a generation where women have been able to have their own money and, have
Mhm.
access to banks and loans and their own homes. We've had to fit into the system that currently exists, and we've had to be masculine, but we
Yeah.
don't have to be anymore. And I think there's a
mm,
lot of acceptance in, the system and the people that are around, and there's enough women where we can start to trust our intuition again and lean into it and kind of
Yeah.
evolutionize, what's going on in the business world.
Totally. And, another side of that is the blame, right? Like we
Hmm.
say that we had to be so masculine because the men were so feminine, but it's like we can point fingers all day, or we can just look inward and balance it out within ourselves, and it'll attract,
Yeah,
what we need. So
I
it all
know
goes hand in
here.
hand.
Absolutely. Here in Arizona, I didn't really recognize it until, someone had come in from outside of the state. There are so many women in powerful positions in Arizona, and
Hmm.
starting to see an evolution of, where women used to compete for resources or opportunities.
Right.
Now they're pulling each other up and supporting one another. And it's a really beautiful thing. And I had no clue until I started to really look at it and go, oh my God, there's women everywhere in these powerful
Yeah.
positions. And
Yeah.
it's interesting. Yeah, there's a shift for sure.
Especially here in Arizona, like you said, I see the same trend. It's a lot of women lifting each other up
Mhm.
here.
mm.
It's the place to be. Arizona, ladies, come on out.
Absolutely.
I you know like so from my perspective, right? My girlfriend Amber is a you know very driven entrepreneur, nurse practitioner. She's got all her shit together, don't need no man, right? But then that's like totally shifts when she's in my presence,
I was say we
like
still need men.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
like she's like leaving her phone at the bar, and I got her ID in my pocket, and it's like, she's like, it's, but what she said, which I didn't understand, and maybe you guys can help me, is she's like, when I'm with you, I just can turn like a lot of my brain
Hell
off,
yeah.
and
Mhm.
I don't, what it, oh, I can't ever, I'm looking to try and turn my brain
Same
off. How do you guys do that?
well, same thing. Okay, can you got okay, being in a relationship with Aaron Bear is exactly what being in a relationship with Aaron Bear is like. Like the way you think it is, the way it is. Like, if when I'm with him, I can literally not worry about anything because I know he's got it. And
Mm-hmm.
then it makes me so feminine and I love it. And it's like, he's
Yeah.
more masculine, I'm more feminine. And it works. It's like you kind of just like, so Amber's probably just like feeling her little role. And, like it has to feel right. Right. Cause
Yeah.
like, you're not going to just accept any masculine. Like, it's not going to work, ladies. Like, it
Yeah.
has to feel right. And when I see Amber and I see Forbes together, it's like she's just you could see her kind of just melts, right? And she's just like she's so comfortable and safe around Forbes.
Yeah.
And so like all I can say is it's like a puzzle piece, right? It's like you have to feel it, you have to see it, you know it when you feel it, and it has to feel right. Cause I guarantee you, Amber, like she's not letting it down for nobody.
Yeah.
you know?
Well, Alex, like what does that look like for you in your relationship? Like as
Yeah.
as you said, like you had to unlearn the masculine side.
Sure.
Like, how does that work?
It, it's definitely changed my relationship with my partner, Josh. And I think this goes for any relationship, not just intimate ones, but, friendships, business partners. You need that yin and yang. You need the ideas person and the risk mitigator. You need the back and forth and support each other in different ways. But, you know, when I have to be in my masculine at work, I don't want to be in my masculine when I get home. Like I want someone to take care of me and vice versa. And, with Josh and I, he's always been very accepting of my masculine and allowing me to do the things I need to do. But it's kind of put him in a more, and I wouldn't say feminine position, but like less ownership of the
He's
space.
balancing it out, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
mhm.
And as I've gotten more into my feminine and I've allowed him to carry me and to support me, he feels more loved, he feels more appreciated, he feels recognized. Our relationships become more intimate and he's able to provide the things that he's made to provide. And when I fight that, it puts him in a position of insecurity and fear. And unknowingly, we don't know that this is happening. Um, but if you've met Josh, he's very masculine and very, brooding and whatever, but intimidating. But he's human and we're all want the same things. And I think he wants to be the provider and the safe space and the one that takes care of the family. And he can't do that when I'm doing that. So it's
Right.
been really nice to have that transition. And I think a lot of women need to embrace that and a lot of men need to recognize that it's okay and learn how to make those shifts.
Yeah, like sometimes a man likes to be the little spoon,
Hmm.
Sometimes likes to be the spoon. It's a back
Yeah,
and
we
forth.
all need, yeah, we all need things. But to your point, it's the puzzle piece, right? Like, where do you need to be more in different energy, and how do
Yeah.
we put that energy together in the way that it makes sense for us? And I think that's a beautiful thing once you figure that out with somebody.
So on the puzzle piece thing, and I'm not just talking about masculine and feminine, but I'm talking about how we
Yeah.
connect like-minded energies, right? How we can bring the people together to collaborate. Alex, you have woven quite the web here in Phoenix with Venture Café Phoenix and the different connections. What is it that like you've learned where you're like, I know how to connect this person with this person?
Mm,
Uh, that because we've all gotten like a
Mm,
bad connection where someone's like, you
right.
need to meet this person. I meet them, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to call this person who connected us after this because like,
Right.
what are you doing to me?
It's
You know.
like a networking matchmaker.
But then when you have a right fit, you
Mhm.
have a right fit. Like Alex, what have you learned over your time of connecting people?
and this goes back to that intuition. I mean, by no means am I a perfect connector. There's going to be bad connections, right? But there's just times when I've just talked to, you Forbes about, I don't know, you're doing a podcast. And then 2 minutes later, someone walks up to me and is like, oh, I've got this great podcast idea. And I'm like, why are you both talking to me about podcasts the same, like, 2 minutes? I need to connect you
Yeah.
guys. So trusting those opportunities or when random things come up and I'm like, I don't know
They're not
how,
random.
yeah, how this is going to work, but it's too weird. And I need to make sure you guys meet each other. I think that is
Mhm.
really powerful.
It's too weird. I love that. What does weird mean to you?
Um, I would say like illogical would be weird. Like, it just doesn't make sense why this happened in this moment with this person, or maybe this person isn't presenting in the way that I would think they would present if I wanted to connect them with, someone else. It's also about being accepting of the weird and the weirdos, the weirdness. Yeah, beautiful things come out of it.
Yeah, no, some of the best, like, interactions I've had or experiences were like, that was like surreal that all of that went down, like, I love when I'm out in public and, I usually go by myself because I go right, and then I see something insane and I
Yeah.
can make eye contact with a stranger. And I was like, "Do you see that shit? You saw that shit too?" And it's like this unique
Yeah.
human,
Yeah. It's like a
this
universal understanding.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
That's
so,
funny.
like, Alex, what does it mean to you to, like, uh, be more human?
Mm. To be more human is I mean, back to your weird comment, like, to be more weird, like, just be more authentic. Don't be so afraid of being goofy and dancing and being loud. I think that's part of the human experience, and being vulnerable. We all do things we're not proud of,
Mm.
but it
I
doesn't mean
take the
you're a bad
risk.
person. Yeah.
I've found that, this is something Aaron taught me that's worked was, like, I always tried to hide my flaws. He's like, "No, if you lead with your flaws, you're much more relatable." Because people are like, "Oh, I kinda do that shit too, but I would never say it on stage," you know? Uh, when you embrace your flaws, like you said, I found that people like you and trust you more. Would you
Mm,
say that that's, like, a similar experience that you've had?
absolutely. Um, I think it's kind of, working with young adults. I did quite a bit of coaching, with homeless children and young adults, and bullying's a big deal. It's like when you come in and you're proud of the fact that you've got acne and you put a sticker on it, people can't make fun of you, and then they actually like, "Oh, you're pretty cool, like, you've got that sticker because I want one." Um, it does, it makes you more relatable, it makes you less vulnerable when you're vulnerable, because then you're not trying to hide something, and it's out in
Mhm.
the
Oh. I get it. Yeah, you're less vulnerable for someone to pick on you when you're more vulnerable. It's like the Eminem
Yeah.
8 Mile thing, you know?
Yeah.
When he goes up and he raps about all the things that he knows his opponent's gonna say to him,
Yeah,
and it
Spaghetti, whatever.
takes all the
yeah,
power away from the
it does,
situation.
it
Mm,
does, it
Mhm.
takes the power
Good
away
point.
from other people.
mm. Alex, I'm curious, what are you curious about recently?
What am I curious about recently? I mean, so many things. Um, recently, my focus has been on, just amplifying and creating abundance in everything I do, and not just, within the venture cafe community, the AI community, my business and what I do with the business owners, but like for myself personally, for my family, and it's getting more time with my daughter and my husband. It's getting more time, with myself and amplifying the amount of self-care I have. Like, how do I become bigger and stronger in like every facet of my life. And that's really where my focus has been this last year, is just how do I do all the things just more?
Is that because that maybe you had aspects of your life that you were neglecting?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
I think I've always neglected myself, and, back to the authenticity thing, um, and being more comfortable with who I am as a person and diving into that. But then, when you and I met Forbes, I was going through quite a bit of transition with my health and having a child, and just life kind of kicked me in the ass and having to rebuild that in a way that again was, in line with me and not with everyone else. Still have to be, cordial with everybody else. But,
Gotta play
you know,
nice.
uh
Mhm.
yeah, that was a big piece of, why I wanted to try to figure out how to get more because it's been so rewarding to rebuild in a different way. And, we have to get knocked on our ass and our past life has to get destroyed to create a new one. And,
Mhm.
it was a 5-year journey. So I'm in the new one and I want to see how far I can take it.
Mm,
Well, we're here rooting you on.
I'm in the
Like,
new one. Yeah, I love it. So, what was your mindset like when you were in the old one, when you were in the middle of the
mm,
rebuilding?
um, if you would have asked me then, I would have probably told you something very different, but it was a lot of fear based, you
Mm,
know, um, constraints that I had put on myself or other people had influenced, and a lot of inadequacy and feeling disappointed in what I had been able to accomplish and not and what I did to myself. I mean, part of the reason and just for brevity, I ended up with a back injury and was really struggling with life and had to end up having disc replacement surgery, which was a godsend. But I struggled for 3 years with that chronic pain, and I would never wish that on anybody. But that was because I didn't take care of myself. And ironically, I was taking care of myself. I was ultra running, I was working out,
Mhm.
I was dieting, I was doing all the things that I thought I was supposed to do. Like on paper, I had a great job. I was making, over 6 figures. I was traveling the world. I was an ultra runner, an athlete, but like behind it all, I had pseudo cushioning syndrome. I was, exercise anorexia. I was an alcoholic. I was a horrible wife. Like I had no idea those things were happening. Um, so I think that really knocks you on your ass and, made me reflect on what do I want this next iteration of my life to look like and recognizing that a lot of that was driven by fear and by expectations of what I thought I was supposed to do versus what I was meant to do. I still love running now, but I'm never
mm,
gonna run ultras or marathons again because I didn't take care of my body. I did all the things thinking that I was taking care of myself, and I wasn't. I wasn't listening to myself and doing the things I needed to do for me.
mm. So, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what a realization. That's
Yeah.
Mm,
day and night, just in a mindset shift. So
Yeah. I don't think a
congratulations
lot
on
of
that.
people. Thank
No,
you.
no, they don't. A lot of people don't recognize that.
No.
But hey, we made it. We made it here.
mm.
And you're in the next life, right?
So
Yeah.
that's my question. In the next life, when you're just like, it was you went from rebuilding to now you're built, and you're like, I want to see how far I can go. What is one thing you could tell our listeners today that could help them live more extraordinarily like Alex?
I mean, 2 pieces of it, I think. One is that intuition, listening to yourself and trusting your body and you and who you are without the noise of society, family, friends, people around you. And the other is community. I would not have been able to do the things I've been able to do to have the amplification, the opportunities. I mean, even down to my back surgery or all the people that came in around me when I was unable to take care of my child. We had so many kids in the neighborhood come over and help and, feed our chickens and potty our dog. Like it's wild the amount of people and love that poured into me during that time. Like I could not have done it without these people and these relationships. And I think yes, trust yourself, listen to what's going on, but also embrace the people around you that want to help and be good to them
Mm,
because it really is a exchange of energy and support and whatever you can give them, they're going to give you back tenfold. And that's priceless.
mm.
Truly priceless.
The power of community. And just to be clear, Venture Cafe Phoenix is the largest networking event for entrepreneurs on the west coast of the United States. Over 18,000 connections have been made at Venture Cafe Phoenix, and if you're local, every Thursday, 5 to 7, 850 North 5th Street, free to attend, free parking, 2 free drinks. Like, I still got those talking points
Oh,
burned in my
nice.
mind,
You've got it down.
Alex. Yeah. No, Alex, it was really special to build that with you. And like you said, like when you
Yeah.
walk away, you're like, yeah, we did this. And, hearing how important community is to you, it's really cool that we were able to build that together. And shout out Aaron for putting us in that position and bringing us together to do it. But, that's really the spirit of extraordinary.
Yeah.
How can we bring extraordinary people together to collaborate, to build something extraordinary?
And just to connect.
Yeah.
Humans need that.
Mm-hmm.
We do.
You can read more about Alex and all the awesome things Alex Koupal is doing at joinextraordinary.com. That's joinextraordinary.com. I'm Forbes Shannon.
I'm Christine Butler.
Alex
And I'm
Koupal.
Cool.
One more time. I stepped on your line. My fault.
You're good. You're good. I'm Alex Koupal.
There
Alex
it is.
Koupal.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Thanks, Alex. That was a lot of fun. We'll see
Thank
you
you.
next time.
Yeah,
Bye.
absolutely.